The WBC light heavyweight clash between undefeated David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde on November 22nd, 2025 has boxing fans on the edge of their seats. WBC light heavyweight champion David Benavidez will look to defend his 175-pound title for the first time, facing the seasoned and powerful Anthony Yarde. Both fighters are known for their skill, strength, and fearless approach inside the ring, promising a thrilling showdown from the first bell to the last. David can be seen training with laser focus, perfecting his timing, footwork, and relentless pressure that have made him a rising star in the division. On the other hand, Anthony Yarde is sharpening his strength, endurance, and tactical skills, preparing to take on one of the toughest challenges of his career. Let's hear what the experts have to say about this high-stakes matchup. Callum Smith, a former world champion, shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. He believes it will be a strong and exciting matchup. According to Smith, Yarde will start well and be competitive in the early rounds. However, as the fight goes on, Benavidez's high punch output, strong fitness, and non-stop pressure will take control. Smith expects Benavidez to dominate the later rounds and possibly win the fight.
A fighter that you just named there, and Anthony Yarde, 3 weeks time actually in Riyadh. How do you see that fight playing out?
Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I think it might be a, I say typical Yarde fight, but like his other two world title fights, I think he'll be competitive early on, and then as the fight goes on, I think Benavidez's punch output, work rate, fitness kind of takes over second half of the fight.
However, Smith also praised David Benavidez for how well he has adjusted to the light heavyweight division. He said Benavidez's move up in weight was a smart choice because he was already a big super middleweight. Smith called Benavidez a very good fighter with great stamina and confidence. He also said Benavidez never avoids big names and always takes tough fights. Callum added that he would love to face Benavidez himself one day.
Benavidez, a light heavyweight. Well, what have you made of him so far?
It's a good fight. He's a very good fighter. Obviously, his punch output's phenomenal for a light heavyweight. His fitness, and I think the move up in weight has suited him. He's a very, very big 168, so I think he's comfortable at 175, and he's got himself a WBC world title now. And one thing about him, he's never shied away from the big name. He's always called the big names out, and so he's a very, very good fighter, but one that I'd love to fight one day.
Meanwhile, trainer Derek Bozy Ennis was recently asked about the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. So he said that it is a true 50-50 matchup and that somebody is going to get stopped. He explained that Benavidez likes to put constant pressure on his opponents, while Yarde can box smart and also trade punches when needed. Ennis also reminded that Yarde has previously hurt big fighters like Beterbiev and Kovalev at light heavyweight. He added that Benavidez must be fully ready because this fight could go either way and promises to be very exciting.
All right, last question. David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde just announced. Yo, that was a fight that I'm like, damn, that's a good one.
I'm with you. That's a good fight right there, man. I say that fight right there is 50-50.
Now, Yarde, of course, Benavidez is the more notable name.
Yeah.
He's fought great opposition, but this is his second fight at 75. And Anthony Yarde is on record of hurting. I seen him hurt Beterbiev. I seen him hurt Kovalov.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And those are natural 75.
Natural 75.
What can we expect in that fight?
Somebody gonna get stopped. That's what I expect. Somebody wants to get stopped. You know what I mean? And I think Benavidez better be ready though, man. Because like I said, it's a 50-50 fight for me, man. You know what I mean? Because his style, Benavidez' style, and then you got Yarde's style. Benavidez like to put that pressure on you. Yarde can box, and then he'll fight you too sometime. So I think that's going to be a tremendous fight, man. That might steal the show.
Moreover, when asked about whether Anthony Yarde tends to tire in the later rounds, and if that could decide the fight, trainer Derek Bozy Ennis said that if Yarde gets tired, it is over, and the fight will favor Benavidez. He explained that the strategy would be to box, set Benavidez up, then tie him up and walk him to the center of the ring. Ennis added that the goal is to frustrate the opponent until they lose their cool, and then take advantage to try and finish the fight. He also emphasized that the jab is the most important tool to control distance and set up all other punches. This approach, he said, could be key in deciding the outcome.
In the later rounds, we've seen him have an issue with that, and you know Benavidez doesn't get tired.
Right.
Is that the deciding factor in this fight?
There you go. If he get tired, it's over. It's over. It's in Benavidez' favor. You know what I mean? But he better not get tired.
How should Yarde fight Benavidez?
How's Yarde fighting?
Yeah.
I would boxing. Boxing, boom, 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 set him up. You know what I mean? Soon he comes to get set, because you know he got to be set to throw punches.
Yeah.
So soon he gets set, tie him up, walk him to the center. Bing, 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 bing. Like, you know, my main thing is like frustration. Try to frustrate them. Once you frustrate them, they lose their cool. When they lose their cool, it's time to go. Try to take him out. You know what I mean?
Do you establish the stab early in the fight?
You got it. That's most important. That jab is most important. With any fighter, man, the jab sets everything up. Everything behind the jab. Jab to the body, jab to the head. You can jab to the shoulder, chest, anywhere. You can control your distance like that.
However, Anthony Yarde talked about the fight with David Benavidez and said that taking on big challenges is part of who he is. He explained that he never wants to look back in life and wonder, what if? Yarde shared that some people are afraid to face tough fights, but for him, the real fear is not trying. He wants to test himself against the best and prove what he can do. That's why he is ready to face David Benavidez in this upcoming fight.
I feel like it's embedded in me. It's my character. And I will always be a person where I take on the biggest challenge for myself. 'Cause I don't want to be that person where you look back and you say, what if? Yeah. You know, that's a fear of mine. So some people, it's their fear to actually go and challenge, you know, big things. For me, a fear of mine is looking back and saying, what if?
However, Callum Smith recently shared his thoughts on the big fight between David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. He revealed that Yarde could face serious trouble against Benavidez' non-stop pressure and fast pace. According to Smith, Benavidez keeps getting stronger and more confident with every fight. He believes Yarde will start well, but as the rounds go on, Benavidez' power and work rate will become too much to handle. Smith said he'll be watching this fight closely because he hopes to face the winner next.
Fight, I'm sure you're going to have a very close eye on David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde. People saying it's a big ask for Anthony. He's stepped up twice against, of course, very good fighters and fell short. How do you anticipate he's going to get on against David Benavidez?
Yeah, it's a good fight. Look, I think Yarde's shown he can fight when the chips are down, but I don't know, I do favour Benavidez. I think he's getting better and better as the fight's going on. I think 175 probably suits him a little bit more than 168, and I don't know, I think stylistically the pace he sets and the punch outputs is probably the wrong style for someone like Yarde, but no, it's a good fight, and again one that I pay close attention to because I'll hopefully fight the winner somewhere down the line.
Moreover, Smith also talked about his own interest in fighting David Benavidez someday. He said that both of them were once at 168 pounds and are now in the light heavyweight division. Smith thinks their styles match perfectly because they both like to fight up close and exchange big punches. However, he admitted that Dimitri Bivol is still the top fighter in the division and the one to beat. Smith added that even if he beats Benavidez, Bivol will still be #1 until someone finally defeats him.
You said to me last time we spoke that the Benavidez fight's one you've had your eye on for a long time. You were both at super middleweight at the same time. I think it was inevitable. You would both move up. What does a fight between you and him look at like in the ring? And is he the one you'd prefer out of him and Dimitri Bivol if it is the world title shot?
I don't know, the both, obviously I love the Bivol fight. I think he's the man to beat. He's the best in the division at the minute, and we boxed as amateurs, so I've knew of him for a long time, so I've always wanted that fight. But the Benavidez one, I just feel one that I always thought should have happened and would happen at some point. We were both 168 at the same time, now we're both 175, and I think stylistically it gels pretty well. We're both big, but both like to have a fight up close as well, so I think stylistically that's probably the better fight to watch. But at the minute, look, Bivol's the man in the division. He's the number one in the world. He's the man you need to beat. Even if I was to go and beat Benavidez, I'll still be sitting number 2 in the rankings behind Bivol. So,
moving on, Tunde Ajayi, who is Anthony Yarde's trainer, was asked about Yarde's career and the tough opponents he has faced. So he said that Yarde has gone up against some of the best fighters in the world, including Hall of Famers like Kovalev and Beterbiev. Ajayi explained that in those fights, Yarde showed he belongs at a world-class level, even though he was a bit inexperienced compared to opponents with hundreds of amateur fights. He added that Yarde has gained a lot of experience since then and is now very prepared. Ajayi emphasized that his son is ready for any challenge in the upcoming fights.
He's not had an easy route, has he, Tunde? You look at the fighters that he's had to go in with, Kovalev back in 2019 out in Russia, and then Beterbiev more recently. You go like, fighters that get these opportunities to fight for world titles, Anthony Yarde certainly hasn't had an easy one.
Definitely. I feel like Ant's been in there against Hall of Famers. You know, 2 of the greatest Russian fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves, and in both contests, you know, Ant proved he belongs in world class. Probably a little bit inexperienced both times. I mean, when someone's had 300, 400 amateur fights and going up against Ant, who only had 12 amateur fights, I think experience played a big part. But you know, listen, I've pulled the old 12-fight novice amateur fight for long enough. Ant's very experienced now. That's my son. Ant's very experienced now, and we're ready to go.
Moreover, Tunde Ajayi was asked about Anthony Yarde getting his 3rd big opportunity against the undefeated David Benavidez, also known as the Monster. So he said that for him and Yarde, it's all about living in the moment and never backing down when challenges arise. Ajayi explained that many fighters turn down big fights, including Bivol, Beterbiev, Joshua Batsi, and Callum Smith, but Yarde always steps up. He added that as soon as Yarde was asked if he wanted the fight, it was made immediately. Ajayi emphasized that Yarde has always been a true fighter, ready to take on anyone.
Easy ride, and you know, listen, I think when a fighter's career is over, probably 2 months after their career is over, everyone forgets about them. So it's always, for me and I guess for Ant, it's about living in the moment, looking yourself in the mirror and knowing that when the opportunities arose, that you never back down. You know, you took the challenge, and that's what we want to see, right? We don't want to hear about fights being offered to others and they're turning it down. We already know David Benavidez, and you're all gonna see it on the Gloves Are Off. Every fighter turned down David Benavidez, including Bivol, including Beterbiev, including Joshua Batsi, including Callum Smith. At the first call, David Benavidez's dad said it. Within 5 minutes, Turki Al-Sheikh asks Anthony, does he want the fight? And guess what? The fight was made. So Ant is there, Spence, and he always has been there. He's a fighter through and through.
Moreover, Anthony Yarde was recently asked about his thoughts ahead of the massive WBC world title fight against David Benavidez. So he said that he genuinely believes he is going to win this fight and feels confident because of the way things have happened in his preparation. Yarde added that this is his 3rd big opportunity, calling it 3 times a charm. He expressed respect for Benavidez, saying he is the biggest name globally among the 3 opponents he has faced at this level. Yarde concluded that stylistically, it will be an exciting fight for both fighters and the fans, as both have the intensity and courage to go all out in the ring.
To be joined by Anthony Yarde ahead of a massive fight for yourself. David Benavidez, WBC world title. How are you feeling ahead of this one, mate?
I thought it was sensational. Fantastic. Amazing.
Definitely. I mean, media workout today. I mean, obviously you've been in the game long enough. This is going to be your 31st fight, I mean, in Saudi. I mean, do things change? Do you still enjoy these kind of media events, or is it just kind of a part of the job now?
It's part of the job. Being honest, I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I enjoy when the media is watching me train. I don't mind that. But the interviews and stuff, I can't stand it. I'll be honest with you. I can't stand it. I want to go eat right now. You don't want to talk to me.
I'll try and make this a quick interview. I do want to talk about, the last fight against Lyndon Arthur. I mean, I spoke to you, I think, kind of a couple months before the fight. I think Joel just fought, actually. Is that very much now a chapter closed in your career now with that trilogy?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely a chapter closed. Me and him we had our little conversations because, again, we played a part in both of each other's career, a massive part. Yeah, man, definitely a chapter closed. But yeah, I got the victory. I got the two of the better victories. I'll say that.
Yeah, you definitely did as well. I mean, that second one, I remember the turnaround from the second one was unbelievable as well. But let's talk about David Benavidez. I mean, I was just speaking to your coach Tunde Ajayi. I mean, when it comes to Anthony Yarde and world title fights, you've never had it easy. Forgive me if I'm repeating any questions here, but Kovalev, Beterbiev, and now Benavidez. I mean, yeah, you like doing things the hard way, don't you, mate?
It's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's the way it all, the way it happened, and I feel like I genuinely feel like I'm going to win this fight. Like genuinely, like wholeheartedly believe I'm going to win this fight. Just because of the way it's all happened. I feel like both of them other fights were preparation for this one. What's the saying? Three's a charm or something like that.
Like 3 times a charm, yeah.
And then Benavidez is, again, someone I respect highly. He's the biggest name in my opinion. You know, globally, I feel like he's the most known out of the three. Yeah, man, it's exciting, and I feel like stylistically as well, it's going to be a very exciting fight for both of us and the fans, because I feel like both of us have got that bit of psycho in us. We like a good fight.
Moreover, Bredman Edwards, who is a well-known boxing analyst, was asked about the matchup between David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. So he said that Benavidez deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list and called him the best fighter he has ever coached against. Edwards added that while he expects Benavidez to win, he also sees this as a tough fight because Yarde is big, strong, and experienced, having faced top-level fighters like Kovalev and Beterbiev.
Going to the main event, Benavidez is favored over Yarde, but Yarde is a big, strong guy, man. he's a really big, strong guy. He has that experience now with the top level guys. Fought Kovalev, fought Beterbiev, gave them both really good fights. Is this going to be one of those fights where it's just David Benavidez is in a real fight? Because normally guys that have success against him, like Caleb Plant, Andre, they're like boxers. They're use their legs and be a little elusive. Yarde's not doing that, bro. Yarde is coming right at you. So how do you see that?
First of all, David Benavidez deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list. David Benavidez is the best fighter I've ever coached against. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
So I expect him to beat Yarde, but I expect this to be a tough fight. And one of the reasons why I expect it to be a tough fight is sometimes the remnants of your last fight carries over. Benavidez took some punishment versus Morrell. He was hurt a couple of times. If you watch that fight real good.
He explained that the punishment Benavidez took in his previous fight against Morrell could carry over, but noted that Benavidez has incredible fighting spirit and endurance. Edwards concluded that Yarde might have some early success, but Benavidez's stamina, skill, and resilience make him a very difficult opponent to overcome.
Morrell took a couple of dirty shots after the bell, but he also hurt David a couple of times with a couple of little right hooks in there. David's face was a little bit distorted a little bit. So he took some tough shots. So I always like to see how a fighter looks after he takes a tough fight like that, because just because you won, that doesn't mean that doesn't erase the punishment that you took, and Morrell took a lot of punishment versus David Benavidez, and we've seen the remnants of that, and he got knocked down, and you know what I mean? So sometimes it's not just the fight, it's the accumulation of the fights. That was a hard fight for Benavidez. You know what I mean? Not so much as in terms of who was winning the rounds, because you could see he was winning the rounds, but Morrell is a big, strong, athletic guy with hard bones, and he hurt David a couple of times. So I want to kind of see how David looks after being in a tough fight like that, because we saw Morrell struggled a little bit, and he was hurt bad. You know what I mean? That's a real thing that people kind of like look over and just think that you get a fresh new start after every fight. It's not. It don't work that way. The human body don't work that way. So I'm curious to see how David looks. But right now, I think that a guy who sits in the pocket with him like that with fast hands, I think he might have some success early, Yarde. But Yarde has those big bulky muscles, and he just don't have a natural stamina or endurance to deal with a guy like David, who got supple long distance muscles. And David, man, is a mean, you know what? He got fighting spirit. You know what I mean? So if I'm gonna talk about Morrell hurting him, I gotta talk about the fact that every time he was buzzed, he came back like a savage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was meaner than Morrell was while he was being hurt. You know what I mean? That's also a real thing. So he was thumping that fight. You know what I mean? When Morrell would hit him with a big shot, he was digging in and he was cracking. You know what I mean? He never let Morrell get any momentum. He never let Morrell think that, you know, he could do anything past a single shot, that he was slightly buzzed. David Benavidez is #1 in boxing to me in terms of fighting spirit.
As the fight approaches, boxing fans around the world are counting down the days to this highly anticipated showdown. The WBC light heavyweight clash between undefeated David Benavidez and the seasoned Anthony Yarde promises a collision of skill, power, and unyielding determination. Benavidez's relentless pressure, fast hands, and knockout power will face off against Yarde's size, strength, and tactical acumen, making each round unpredictable and packed with excitement. Both fighters carry immense experience, courage, and championship spirit, ensuring a battle that could go down in history. Every punch, every exchange, and every moment in the ring will keep fans on the edge of their seats, as these two warriors leave nothing behind in their pursuit of victory. Stay tuned for all the latest updates, highlights, and expert analysis on this epic matchup. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action.